This is basically my childhood wrapped up in a shirt. Hey guys, welcome back to Phil's Corner. For the very first time on this channel, welcome to a channel that's officially part of the YouTube Partner Program. Yep, this week I got some great news, and that basically I can start putting ads in these videos. So for you guys, for the experience you guys are having, it's not necessarily an improvement, but regardless, it's great to have reached that milestone because basically you guys have watched enough of my videos and I've got enough subscribers to be able to put ads on the videos. So it's a huge boost for the channel, a significant milestone. In under a year we've reached that target, and I'm really thrilled considering we don't do many of these videos. I've not been the most frequent of people on here, so I'm really grateful to you guys for watching and subscribing, and this is just the start. Of course, there's way more to go. Who knows, one day maybe I'll have one of those plaques on the side, but that's a long way away. But until then, thank you for supporting me. I also have to thank the many sponsors who have supported the channel, not least Foot Fanatics, who are once again sponsoring this video. And you know the drill, guys. You know what Foot Fanatics are all about. Brazilian shirts at really good prices, often shirts which you can't get elsewhere, or certainly versions of shirts which you can't get anywhere else. And just this week we've had a couple of new Brazilian club shirts. So Palmeiras have released their home and away shirts, Flamengo just this week as well. There'll be loads more. So Foot Fanatics will be the place to go for those shirts. Check them out. There's a link in the description to Foot Fanatics, and you can use the code FILS10 to get 10% off your order if there isn't another code running at the same time. So check out Foot Fanatics. As I say, with all the new Brazilian shirts coming out, and we'll probably talk about them in a future video, they'll be one of the best places to get them. And you can even get versions with all the sponsors and stuff like that, which you often can't get at other retailers. So that's Foot Fanatics. Thank you to them once again. They're great. They've been really supportive of me and of my channel, and they're really, really good resource for collectors. And of course, I can't go any further without talking about this shirt next to me, because this is the brand new shirt that I've created for my supporters on Patreon. It's a sort of collaboration between Phil's Corner and More Than a Shirt, which is the name of my Patreon. I'm going to show you this shirt now because it's a really, really fun shirt. It's got loads of little nods to some of my favourite things about kits. So let's take a closer look. Now this shirt has been made in collaboration with Kit Locker, and Kit Locker are a fantastic site who are really the go-to place for team wear. So if you're looking for team wear, either off the shelf or even customised with your own designs, Kit Locker is the place to go. So thank you to them for helping with this shirt. And just to talk briefly about the design and why I've chosen certain elements, you won't be surprised to see it's a Nike shirt. Anyone who watched my collection video will know I like Nike. So I've gone for a Nike shirt, and in particular their Legend template, which is inspired by the very famous early to mid-noughties Nike kits. And we're going to talk a lot about it in this video. But that has been used as inspiration for this template. So you can see the black portions here and on the sides. And the design as well has a few key elements, not least the Phil's Corner logo there. But there's also some horizontal bands, and I really like that element. I've talked a lot about that in previous episodes. And the colourway, of course, both in that logo, which is my Patreon logo there, and in those bands. The primary colours are red, blue and yellow. I really like playing around with those primary colours. I think it looks really good. And it's a great shirt. I really am proud of this design. There's even some details on the sleeves. We've got Kit Locker as the sleeve sponsor on both sides with those colours, which incidentally actually is the Armenia flag. There's no particular connection to Armenia. But that is this shirt. And you can get this shirt absolutely free if you support me on Patreon. So that is a big, big incentive. In fact, just this week, I've had a bunch of new people sign up, because this shirt is going to be free to all supporters on Patreon. So there we go, guys. That is the Phil's Corner shirt. Brand new just this week. And you can get it for free by supporting me on Patreon. So there's never been a better time to head over to Patreon. Of course, you get all the other benefits of Patreon, plus this shirt. So what are you waiting for, guys? You can add this shirt to your collection for free as part of your Patreon support. And as I said, I've had a huge influx this week of new supporters on Patreon. You'll see the names on the bottom of the screen, but shout out to Svanta, Mason, Chris, Adan, Adam and Jack. All you guys who've recently supported me, and of course those who are continuing to support me. So thank you to you guys. There really is a growing community now. I've said that each time, but it is now coming to the point where there's a good little crew there. Check out the link to the Patreon in the description. And I've also got a short video which I'm probably going to have to update soon actually. But I do have a video which I'll link above me, which goes through some of the stuff on there, what you get as part of the support. So that's Patreon, and thank you again to the patrons who are supporting me. And to you guys watching, I can't say enough how your support on here, just by watching and subscribing, goes a long way. Now the past couple of episodes I've run a giveaway and they've been going so well that I'm going to keep that train rolling. I'm going to do another giveaway today. But before I show you what's on offer in today's episode, I will announce the winner of the last giveaway. And the winner of the Palmeiras jacket is Carson Led. So congratulations Carson, please DM me on Twitter and I'll get that jacket sent over to you. And today's giveaway, which you can win just by being a subscriber and commenting on this video, is the lovely Palmeiras 2020 away shirt. And this lovely design, which has a great subliminal pattern in the fabric, is actually in a women's size medium. So it's one for any women out there who are watching, or indeed if you're a man who wants to give it to a significant other. So hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, and in episode 20 you could win this shirt. Before we get into the main bit of today's episode, which is talking about the shirt that basically kicked off my love for kits, the design that basically started all of this, I'm going to answer some questions, as I have been doing on previous episodes, and just responding to some of the comments that you guys left in the last episode. Firstly, this is more of a comment from Harrison, but he says, found this channel this morning and binge watched every single video in one day. Honestly, so entertaining and love the collection, mate. Keep up. So Harrison, thank you to you, and thank you to everyone who left comments actually on the last video about how much they enjoyed the video. It was a lot of fun to do, and it was in the pipeline for a long time, so it was great to finally release that to the world. And really the whole idea of Phil's Corner is that the videos are rewatchable or not too time sensitive, so if you are new to the channel, do check out all the previous episodes. I think pretty much all of them should still be relevant. There might be one or two things that are out of date, but basically speaking, all previous episodes, all previous 18 episodes can be watched at any time. So if you are brand new to the channel, do go through that back catalogue. There is a playlist actually of all the videos back to back, and basically it's all on my channel, so do check that out. And thank you to Harrison and others who said they recently just joined and been watching the videos. It really is encouraging to hear. Now a lot of you got in touch to ask about the bags that I was using, these plastic Ziploc bags that I had a lot of my collection in. And for anyone who's interested in using them for your own collection, I've actually left a link in the description to Amazon where you can get those bags. They're A3 size, and I think it was about £1 a bag, so they're not the cheapest necessarily, but they really work for me in combination with some shirts on the hangers, as we talked about in the last video. And you can also buy packs of silica gel, which is basically those little packets you get which helps absorb any moisture, so I'd also recommend getting a pack of those, and there's loads of those as well on Amazon. But yeah, those are the bags, and I hope that's of use to some of you guys. Let me know how you get on if you do buy them. On a similar note, Alfred and a few others asked about hanging shirts on a hanger, and Alfred asked, do shirts not last well on a hanger in a wardrobe? And obviously, as we talked about, I had some of my collection in bags and some of them were on hangers. And actually, Alfred, shirts are perfectly fine on a hanger, and most of you probably will have them in a wardrobe. And as I say, a lot of my collection is in a wardrobe, so there's nothing wrong with doing that. But there are, of course, one or two things just to be aware of. And one of them is quite simply, if you had them in a wardrobe, it's more likely that they're going to get nicks and pulls if you're putting out something else on the wardrobe. You know, a zip from something gets caught in it. I once accidentally punched a hole through the sleeve of one of my shirts when I closed the wardrobe door. And that kind of warned me, certainly, to at least be aware of where they're hanging in the wardrobe. But really, Alfred, the main reason I kind of first thought about going into bags was just when I was picking up those slightly higher value shirts. And also I just kind of started running out of space in my wardrobe. But for most of you guys, especially if you have a smaller collection, wardrobes are perfectly fine. Hangers are perfectly fine. Most of my hangers, including the one here, they're just plastic ones from Wilko's. They're not anything fancy, but you can get higher quality ones, which are good if you are looking at hangers as a long-term solution. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with them, Alfred. I have a bit of both and it works quite well for me, but just try some methods out, guys. Hopefully that's of some help. Comment here from Rammers Tube, who says, what do you think about the new PSG 4th kit? I like it, but it's not special, says Rammers. And I'd actually agree with that, because I do particularly like the kit. I mean, certainly from a design perspective, the whole collection had something about it, and I do enjoy what PSG have done in terms of their collection. They've really focused on interesting items, so a lot of the jackets are quite interesting, and if anything, I like them a bit more than the shirt. The thing which just doesn't grab me quite as much as some of the previous PSG Jordan stuff is that the shirt doesn't really feel intrinsically tied to Jordan in the way which some of the earlier shirts did. So that first PSG Jordan collection, they did feel a bit more like the blending together of those worlds of basketball and football. I feel with the new shirt there's less of that connection, and I did see one or two kind of tenuous links picking out some collections of NBA stuff from the 90s, but broadly speaking, at least Nike didn't talk about that, so I wasn't really aware of it. And I feel like one of the strengths of the PSG Jordan collaboration is that you can play on some of those old trainers and kits and training wear from the 90s, from Michael Jordan's career, from Jordan's range and back catalogue of stuff. And this new PSG 4 kit just kind of felt a bit detached from that. And just the design itself, the colourway I didn't particularly like. Again, it didn't really feel like a colourway that made a lot of sense, the kind of pink and lilac design. But that's just me. I mean, a lot of people do like it. And as I say, there were some things in the collection which I would be more inclined to pick up. And we've got a comment from Fires who says, started collecting football kits a few years back. And it's quite addictive. I tried to limit myself to 3 kits a year, not by one, just because it's available for a bargain deal, and invest sensibly, just like you said in the How to Start a Football Shirt Collection video. So Fires, thank you for your comment. And I think that's a really good approach. In that video, which I will link above me now, I talked a little bit about the fact that there are so many deals out there that you simply can't buy them all. Sure, I have picked up some bargains still, and I do have a lot of shirts which were just a tenner or 15 quid, but I quite like pulling together my resources and getting one shirt which I really like, which I haven't been able to find for months, and then suddenly it appears on eBay, and I'm ready to make that purchase because I do have a bit more saved up than if I've been snapping up all these bargains. So there's some great deals to be had, but as you said, Fires, it's quite nice actually just to pick 1 or 2 a year even. I think that's a great approach. Don't forget to leave a comment on this video, and there's a chance I'll answer it for episode 20. But let's dive into the main subject of today's video, which is talking about the shirt or the shirts that basically inspired my love for kits, that basically kicked off everything to do with shirts, to do with my passion for shirts. And really it's been a bit of a domino effect since then. I'm now talking about shirts full time for a living, which is amazing. So what started it? What was that one shirt which as a kid growing up grabbed me and made me fall in love with shirts? And really I wanted to do this video particularly now because I just received that shirt in the post. I just received that one shirt which I've been looking out for ages since I started collecting, and I hadn't seen it at a reasonable price until this week. So I picked it up and I'm really thrilled to have it in my collection. I will of course show you that shirt and talk about what I love about the design. Incidentally, it does actually have some similarities to this shirt as well. But anyway, let's set the scene and let's go back to 2002. Now when it comes to falling in love with football, or indeed falling in love with shirts, the kind of sweet spot I would say was when you're about 10 or 11, that kind of age where you're consuming a lot of content, when you're watching games, watching videos. And certainly for me, my first World Cup that I properly watched was 2002. So I was 9 or 10 at the time, and I'd seen a little bit of Euro 2000, but not much really. I didn't really remember much beyond seeing highlights from the final and things like that. But 2002, when I was still at school, I was only 9, but that was the first World Cup which I really got involved in. I really enjoyed the games there. And of course the shirts were a big part of that. And even though 2002 wasn't the best World Cup for shirts by any means, because I was the age that I was, I still absolutely adored it. Seeing these teams, seeing something like Senegal beating France in that early game, how big was that? How good was that moment? It was one of the best moments I can remember. And certainly looking back on World Cups, the shock of that result, the world champions being beaten by Senegal, and the players in that Senegal team. I mean, it's funny, after the 2002 World Cup, I've talked about this before, I was really excited about El Hadji Diouf, the Senegal striker, and when he then signed for Liverpool, I was absolutely thrilled. And looking back, that's quite a funny thing. But I just loved that World Cup, not least, as I say, for the kits. And no surprises for guessing which manufacturer stood out to me. It was Nike, of course. And Nike's template in 2002 was a really, really interesting template to me. And granted, the template in and of itself didn't necessarily have standout patterns or designs. This wasn't the 90s, of course, but the construction of the template still had some nice levels of variation. So some teams like South Korea had a great pattern in the body of the shirt. Other teams like Brazil had a much more simple two-tone colourway. Some teams like USA actually had versions of the kits with 2 secondary colours. So there was nice little variations across the teams. And for me, growing up, I just loved the fact that you could have this kind of shared design. I thought there was something actually quite cool about having a design that was used across multiple teams. To have so many nations and clubs kind of twinned by a design. And this particular shirt, it wasn't the shirt that kind of kicked it off fully, but it definitely piqued my interest seeing that template. And many people lament templates. Many people think templates are inherently bad. And actually a lot of the best designs of all time, like Holland's design in '88, the famous Holland shirt, was actually a template, was actually used in multiple teams. So I'm not saying that Nike shirts in 2002 were anywhere near the quality of Holland's shirt in 88, but there is something about templates. When they're variated well, when there's good levels of variation, and crucially when teams have bespoke colourways to them, it really can work. And there is something quite fun about that, and there certainly was something which piqued my interest. So that was kind of the genesis of my love for shirts. Certainly, I kind of left the 2002 World Cup with more of an appreciation for Nike. But things went up another gear in year 2004, and this was the year of Total 90. And anyone who grew up watching football in the noughties will know about Total 90. I think for the vast majority watching, you'll immediately have images of the Total 90 boots, and just that symbol, that 90 in the circle, of course replicated in the numbers on those kits. I loved the Total 90 kits. There was something about them, it felt very much like a kind of refining of those designs from 2002. The template just worked a lot better. It had a lot more going for it. The way that the chest of the shirt was framed and this lovely piping, and again the bespoke colourways and patterns that would be incorporated within the design. Like 2002, we also saw some good variation. So for example, some of the shirts that piping would continue straight down, whereas others it would join neatly in the middle. And what Nike have always done well, and what they really did well, they had some great adverts of course. And one advert really stood out to me, which was the Brazil-Portugal advert. And I'm sure many of you remember it. It was one of those typical Nike adverts with amazing legends and players kicking the ball about. And I really loved the kits. Seeing these Brazil and Portugal kits, the colours were so vibrant. The design, as I say, with the numbers was so good. And I just fell in love with the kit. I fell in love with that template. And the Portugal kit, the Portugal 2004 kit, which of course was worn up until the final where Portugal had a shock defeat to Greece. That was one of the kits which really kicked off my love. It probably wasn't number one, it's maybe number two. And it's kind of funny, as someone who's born in England, of course Portugal famously knocked out England in that tournament. I still love the kit. It was quite funny looking at that England kit, which I didn't particularly like. And in contrast, the Portugal kit, which is just so much better in my eyes. The lovely pattern in the fabric and the numbers, those yellow numbers in the circle. Of course, if you watch my last collection video, you'll know that I do have one of those Portugal kits as well in my collection with Helder Postiga's name on the back of all players. But I just love the kit, and I loved again seeing that template, seeing that Total 90 template across so many different teams, and there was great use of colour. I can't emphasise enough how much colour played a role and how strong that template was used. Yes, the design wasn't the most flamboyant, and pound for pound, sure, a lot of the Adidas templates of the 90s had a lot more going for them from a design perspective, but it was the way that Nike used that Total 90 theme, that Total 90 branding across their boots and kits and advertising campaigns. The shirts really were just one part of that ecosystem, that Total 90 ecosystem. And given my age, given my impressionable age as an early teenager, I soaked it all up. But if that Portugal kit wasn't the best kit, what was the kit? What was the one kit, the one Total 90 kit, which really just sparked a fascination and a love for shirts? Well, I've got it with me now. Look at this absolutely beautiful piece of shirt design. This Valencia shirt, this amazing Valencia shirt from 2004-05, was their third shirt that year, and it is quite simply one of my favourite shirts of all time. And as a child growing up, this was literally the pinnacle. I couldn't think of a better shirt, and to be honest, I still think it's one of the best shirts of all time. Why do I love it so much? Well, Valencia as a team were a team that I really enjoyed, and I mentioned this on my collection video. I loved that Valencia team, not least the players, and I believe they actually won the Liga the season before, if I've got my dates right. But this design, using those primary colours, and I talked about primary colours in my Phil's Corner shirt. Again, this shirt is absolutely amazing. The vibrancy of those colours, of that yellow, which is almost a kind of gold shade, and the bright blue and the bright red. The balance is what really works here. And of course, the red and yellow stripes, this Senhora theme, is one which Valencia have returned to more than once. So every few years, you typically get a Valencia shirt in these colours. So there's a nice traditional link there with the colours. So the blue sleeves add a really nice balance to that red and yellow, and even the Nike swoosh has a nice blue outline. But then you've also got yellow stitching around this central panel, and indeed the mesh material here in blue. It just feels like a really nice combination of colours. If I flip the shirt around the back, as with any good shirt, you've got the continuation of the stripes in full. Even the Toyota sponsor, which has been placed on a big yellow patch, doesn't take away anything. If anything, I actually quite like having a big brand sometimes. And again, growing up, there was something quite interesting about seeing these big brands, these big car brands or food brands on a shirt. It's that thing where you see brands that you would see on the high street or kind of growing up on ads and things like that on a shirt. There's a nice link there, which I think is always cool. But I tell you guys, receiving this shirt, I was bowled over. It was like I was a kid again. seeing the design, seeing that 90, just look at that 90 in the middle there. This is basically my childhood wrapped up in a shirt. It was a shirt that kicked things off, and growing up I didn't really know about collecting shirts. I had one or two kits, but looking back I would have loved to have owned this kit. And it's funny, kind of a few years ago you probably could have picked this shirt up on eBay or classic football shirts for 50 quid. Now they're much harder to find, certainly in good condition, but I'm really happy to have this one. It's funny actually looking at that Phil's Corner shirt, you can really see where a lot of my inspiration came from the colours and indeed the template. But yeah, that is one of my favourite shirts of all time, and certainly the shirt which kicked it all off. Very happy. This is one I won't be getting rid of now. Now I've got hold of this, I feel like I've completed a big life goal, and I just can't stop looking at it, guys. I can't stop looking at those colours. And this is what football shirts is all about. Football shirts are all about those memories, those connections, those things which draw you in. And even if you have very little connection to a team, you know, I'm not from Valencia, I've never been to Valencia even, although I must rectify that in future. That shirt was just an absolute delight to see, and as a kid growing up, I couldn't get enough of it. And I would be really interested actually in the comments to hear from you guys. What were some of the shirts for you which kicked off your love for kits? Maybe you didn't even realise it at the time, but looking back you realise, oh yeah, that shirt was one of my favourites, which I still look at with admiration. When you were 10, 11, 12, what were the shirts that you really looked up to? And let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. It'd be really interesting and fun to hear. Maybe you grew up in the 80s and 90s and some of those kits from those World Cups or Serie A and things like that just instantly grabbed you. Or maybe you started watching football in the 10s and some of those shirts then were the ones which you still look to. I'd really like to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments. It'd be really fun to see. And there we go. That is how this all started. That was the first domino that fell and led to what I'm doing today. As I've said already, please subscribe if you're new to the channel. Maybe you've just watched this episode. This is the first episode you ever watched. And you're kind of curious, what is this guy talking about? Why is he so obsessed with football shirts, with simple little bits of clothing? Well, hit that subscribe button and enjoy falling down the rabbit hole that is football shirts. Enjoy watching some of those previous episodes. Being a subscriber helps grow this channel, and it really does mean a lot and goes a long way to really growing what we're doing at Phil's Corner. So be a subscriber, do like this video if you enjoyed it, and leave a comment as well. And don't forget, if you do subscribe and comment, you can win the Palmeiras away shirt from 2020. Shout out to Foot Fanatics once again for sponsoring this video, and indeed to my supporters on Patreon. And don't forget that everyone who supports you on Patreon can get this wonderful shirt absolutely free. But that's all, guys. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon.